AITA, for refusing to accept family meetings, because I'm tired of always paying for the whole family. Before watching the video, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I'd also really appreciate a like and a subscribe. The most interesting comment will be included in the next videos. Thank you to each and every one of you. Enjoy watching. I couldn't sleep the night before, second Thanksgiving in the house. My name's Sofia, I'm 32, female, and ever since my husband Daniel, 30 M5 male, and I moved into our drum home last year, a 3-bedroom with a massive kitchen and a backyard big enough for a football scrimmage. I've been drowning in other people's expectations. It started innocent. I used to bartend in my 20s, so hosting comes naturally to me, mixing cocktails, setting a table that looks like it belongs in a magazine, making people feel like they're stepping into something special. That first Thanksgiving in our new house, pure magic. My mom actually cried when she saw the table set up, and my sister Emily, 29, female, told me, "You're setting the bar way too high, Soph." She was right, but I didn't realize how right she was. Because from that night on, my family decided my house wasn't just my house anymore. It became the house. Christmas at Sofia's, New Year's at Sofia's, Dad's birthday, Sofia's, 4th of July, yup, Sofia's. At first I convinced myself it was flattering, like, wow, everyone wants to come here. But by the 6th casual get-together that somehow cost me $400 and left Daniel and me scrubbing wine stains at 2 a.m., the shine wore off. We don't have kids, so everyone rationalized that we had the time and space. My brother-in-law Eric actually joked, "You two are like the designated parents of the family holidays." Ha 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 ha. I tried to speak up, more than once. I told Mom I couldn't keep footing the bill for every meal that fed 15 people. Her response? "Sweetheart, you make it look effortless." Like my exhaustion was a compliment. When I brought it up to Emily, she shrugged and said, "Well, you did set the standard." And Daniel, God bless him, he tried. He'd slip me cash when the grocery bill ballooned past $300. He'd stay up with me until midnight, basting turkeys or icing cakes. But I could see it in his face. This was wearing him down too. We didn't buy this house to turn it into an unpaid event space. Still, no one listened. They showed up, ate, drank, complimented me like I was their personal caterer, and left their dirty dishes stacked like a middle finger in my sink. So when the calendar crept toward Thanksgiving again, something in me snapped. I knew I couldn't keep going like this. And if no one would hear me when I said I was exhausted, maybe they'd understand if I showed them. I looked at Daniel one night, flour on my shirt and bills spread across the counter, and I told him flat out, "This year I'm not cooking, not a damn thing." And the way his shoulders dropped, the relief in his smile, it told me I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish. I was done being their hostess/servant. I was about to make a point my family would never forget. Thanksgiving morning hit different that year. Normally I'd be up at dawn, apron already on, kitchen blasting with music while turkeys roasted and pies baked. But that morning, silence. My counters were spotless. My oven was cold. Daniel kept glancing at me like he half expected me to cave and start whipping up mashed potatoes out of guilt. But I held firm. I made us both coffee, sat at the island, and actually enjoyed the quiet. For once, Thanksgiving didn't feel like a shift at the bar. Around noon, the doorbell rang. First through the door were my parents. Mom with her casserole dish in hand. Empty, I noticed. And Dad, balancing a six-pack like it was his noble contribution. "Smells quiet," Dad joked, sniffing the air. Mom gave me that look, the one that always carried judgment disguised as concern. Sophia, did you start the turkey late? Nope, I said, sipping my coffee. There's no turkey or stuffing or pies. Didn't make a thing this year. You'd have thought I'd announced I was quitting the family. Mom's jaw actually dropped. Dad chuckled nervously like he thought I was kidding. Then Emily and Eric showed up with their kids in tow, already in stretchy pants ready to feast. Emily looked around the empty counters like she'd walked into a crime scene. Wait, where's the food? Daniel jumped in before I could. We told you guys, we're happy to host the space, but we're not doing all the cooking anymore. Silence. Thick, uncomfortable silence. My nephew, bless his heart, piped up with, "Does that mean no mac and cheese?" Which nearly sent Emily into orbit. Eric muttered, "So, what, we're supposed to cook here?" Like the idea was foreign. Or, I said sweetly, you could have brought dishes, potluck style. That's what normal families do. Emily scoffed. You could have given us a heads up. I raised an eyebrow. I told you last month, at Mom's. You laughed and said I was being dramatic. The tension in the room was insane. Mom clutched her empty casserole dish like it might magically fill itself if she glared at me hard enough. Dad pulled out his phone, clearly already Googling what restaurants might be open. And that's how my entire family, who'd gotten used to waltzing into my house for 5-star spreads, ended up huddled around my dining table, scrolling DoorDash menus and arguing about who would cover the bill. I sat back in my chair watching them scramble, and for the first time in a year, I felt light, free even. Daniel reached under the table, squeezed my hand, and whispered, "This is the best holiday we've had yet." I didn't know it then, but this little standoff? It was just the start. Because when people like my family get embarrassed, they don't learn. They lash out. And the storm that followed made that Thanksgiving feel like child's play. The fallout started before dessert. If you could call the lukewarm grocery store pumpkin pie Dad panic bought dessert. Mom kept muttering under her breath the whole meal, lines like, "Tradition matters." And some people don't understand family duty, while stabbing her plastic fork into her slice like it was my face. She wouldn't look at me directly, but every word was aimed like a dart. Emily was less subtle. "You know, Sophia," she said loud enough to silence the table, "some of us have kids. We don't have the luxury of whatever this is." She waved her fork around at my bare counters, my spotless kitchen, the takeout containers littering the table. I mean, seriously, what else are you doing all year? You don't even know how hard it is. I felt my throat tighten. She knew exactly what she was doing. My sister's always been quick to use her kids as both shield and sword. If she's late, it's the kids. If she doesn't bring food, it's the kids. And now, if I don't want to host every damn holiday, I'm selfish because she has kids. Eric tried to back her up with his usual smug tone. We're not saying you don't do anything. Just, it's easier for you guys. No childcare, no juggling school schedules. Daniel leaned forward, his voice calm but razor sharp. So because we don't have kids, we are supposed to bankroll and plan everything for everyone else? That sound fair to you? Eric's face flushed, but before he could answer, my dad chimed in, trying to mediate. Look, maybe this was just a miscommunication. Next year we'll figure something out. Rotate hosting, maybe. That could have been the end. We could have clinked plastic cups, chalked it up to a failed experiment, and moved on. But Emily wasn't done. She slammed her fork down, startling her daughter, who started crying. No, Dad, it's not a miscommunication. Sophia's just lazy. She wants the house, the praise, the Instagram pictures, but none of the responsibility. She wants to play hostess without putting in the work. The words hit harder than I expected. Lazy. That was her version of my year. The receipts, the planning, the endless cleanup. All of it reduced to laziness because I finally said no. Daniel started to rise out of his chair, but I squeezed his hand under the table, forcing him to sit back down. My voice was steadier than I felt when I answered her. You think I want this house for your kids' birthday parties? You think I work my ass off cooking and cleaning for you just for clout? You're unbelievable, Emily. Mom gasped like I'd just cursed in church. Dad's face tightened. Eric muttered something about keeping it civil. But Emily, she doubled down. You've always been like this, Sofia. All or nothing. And when you don't get praised enough, you pout and make everything about you. Her words weren't just meant to sting. They were meant to humiliate me in front of everyone. And the worst part, I felt it working. My cheeks were hot, my chest heavy, my eyes stinging. I excused myself before anyone could see the tears and locked myself in the upstairs bathroom. Downstairs, I could still hear the muffled chaos. Emily ranting, Mom sighing dramatically, the kids whining about being hungry again. I sat on the cold edge of the bathtub, hands trembling, and thought, I gave them everything for a year, and this is what I get. That was the moment I knew. Next time I wouldn't just withdraw my effort. I'd take back control. And my family, they wouldn't see it coming. I stayed upstairs for maybe 20 minutes, long enough for my tears to dry, but not long enough for the tension to disappear. When I finally came down, the scene in my dining room looked like a battlefield. Empty pie tins, takeout containers strewn everywhere, the kids squabbling over the last bread roll while Emily and Mom whispered heatedly at the table. Daniel shot me a look that said, don't even bother, but I sat down anyway. And the second I did, Mom leaned in. We need to talk about this, she said, her voice sharp but trying to sound reasonable. Traditions are important, Sofia. Family needs a central place to gather. You mean my place? I said flatly. Eric crossed his arms. You offered, Sof. You made this house the family spot. You can't just take that back because you're tired. Emily nodded like a bobblehead. Exactly. If you didn't want the responsibility, you shouldn't have set the standard. Daniel's jaw tightened. She's not a hotel manager. She's your sister. And she's saying she's exhausted. Why is that so hard for you to hear? But Emily wasn't hearing anything. She got louder, her voice cracking at the edges. We all count on you. You think I have time to decorate, plan, host, and still to manage 2 kids? You think Mom can handle all this anymore? You're the only one with a space, Sofia. It's selfish to pull out now. The word selfish felt like a slap. I opened my mouth to argue, but then my mom, who'd been mostly quiet except for sighs and mutters, slammed her hand on the table so hard a soda can tipped over. Enough, she snapped. The room froze. Even the kids stopped bickering. Sofia, this is your role. You and Daniel chose this big, beautiful house and family comes with it. I don't care if it's stressful. You don't get to just quit. Something inside me cracked. My own mother flat out telling me my home wasn't really mine anymore. That my effort wasn't love. It was duty. Daniel started to say something, but I held up my hand. I didn't want him shielding me. Not this time. I looked straight at Mom. You've taken me for granted all year. Every holiday, every birthday, every barbecue. I broke my back making sure everyone was fed, comfortable, celebrated, and you never once asked if I was okay. Not once. Her face twitched, but she stayed silent, so I turned to Emily. And you? Do you even hear yourself? You think being a mom gives you a free pass to dump all the work on me? News flash him. Your kids aren't my responsibility. Her eyes went wide, then wet. She shoved her chair back so hard it scraped the floor. I can't believe you'd say that, she hissed, grabbing her daughter's hand like I'd just threatened her. You're cruel. Absolutely cruel. She stormed toward the door, Eric following with their son in tow. Mom rushed after them, calling her name, while Dad muttered something about ruining Thanksgiving as he gathered his jacket. Within minutes, the house was empty. Just me, Daniel, and a war zone of takeout containers and spilled soda. The silence that followed was worse than the shouting. Daniel finally spoke. Well, he said softly, they showed you exactly who they are. I nodded, but inside something darker was growing. They thought tonight was a meltdown. They thought I'd back down, apologize, take up my role again out of guilt. But I was done apologizing. And the next move would be mine. Okay, so this is where everything tips from family drama into straight chaos. After that Thanksgiving implosion, I expected a cooling off period. Maybe a few icy texts, maybe Emily giving me the silent treatment for a while. What I didn't expect was how fast the gossip spread. By the next morning, my phone was blowing up. A cousin I hadn't seen in months messaged me. Heard you banned Thanksgiving dinner? That true? My aunt left a voicemail dripping with judgment. Sofia, sweetheart, families rely on each other. Don't let Danny's'll poison you against us. That one sent me spiraling. Poison me? Daniel, who had been nothing but patient, supportive, the one quietly Venmoing me cash when my hosting budget dried up, was now being painted as the villain. Then Emily posted on Facebook. Of course she did. A long, teary, manipulative post about how some people forget the true meaning of family and would rather be selfish than create memories for the children. She tagged me in it. Tagged me. I'll admit, I lost it. My hands are shaking as I read her comment after comment. Friends of hers chiming in with "that's so sad" and "kids deserve better." My blood boiled when I saw my mom had liked the post. Daniel tried to pull my phone away, saying, "Don't give them the satisfaction." But I couldn't sit still. I needed to do something, not just sit there while they crucified me online. That's when the idea hit me. Revenge doesn't always have to be fireworks. Sometimes it's about precision, about making people sit in the exact mess they created. So 2 weeks later, when Emily texted me like nothing had happened, "Hey, can we use your backyard for Connor's birthday? Just 20 people, nothing big." I said yes. Yes. I smiled while I typed it. Daniel raised an eyebrow, but when he saw the look in my eyes, he didn't stop me. Here's what I did. I said they could use the space. I'd even unlocked the back gate so guests could come straight in. But I made it crystal clear. We wouldn't be providing food, drinks, chairs, anything. I even reminded Emily of it twice. She brushed me off both times with, "Don't worry, I've got it." The day arrived. I kept the house immaculate but empty. No tables, no decorations, no snacks. Daniel and I sat inside with the blinds slightly open, watching the chaos unfold. One by one, guests arrived. Parents with toddlers, teenagers holding wrapped gifts, everyone expecting a party. And Emily? She showed up late, with nothing. No balloons, no cake, not even a bag of chips. She looked around our bare backyard like she'd been ambushed. The whispers started. Where's the food? Didn't she plan anything? One mom asked if she should run to Costco. Another started Googling local pizza places. Kids got restless, crying, tugging at their parents' arms. Emily's face turned redder by the minute. She tried to spin it. "Oh, we're keeping it casual, like a picnic vibe." But when the first guest flat out left with their kid, I knew the message had landed. From my kitchen window, I watched her squirm, scrambling to keep the unraveling party together, and for the first time in months, I felt the balance shift. All right, here's where it gets heavier, because Emily didn't just take the birthday humiliation lying down. The night of the failed party, after most of her guests had either left or ordered their own pizzas, Emily stormed up to my front door. She didn't knock, she pounded. Daniel opened it and she pushed past him like she owned the place. Her hair was a mess, mascara streaking, voice already trembling with rage. "You did this on purpose," she hissed at me. I stayed seated at the kitchen island, calm, hands wrapped around my mug of tea. "No, Emily. I told you exactly what I would and wouldn't do. You assumed I'd bail you out like always." She actually slapped the counter, rattling my mug. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. Do you know what people are saying? They think I can't take care of my own kid's party. They think I'm a joke." I stared at her for a long second before answering. "That's not my problem, Emily. Maybe they're finally seeing what I've seen all year." Her face crumpled into something between fury and desperation. She started pacing, muttering to herself, then suddenly turned on Daniel. "This is your fault, too. You've poisoned her against us. She was never like this before you." Daniel's laugh was humorless. Or maybe she just finally stopped letting you use her. That's when she lost it. She grabbed a framed photo off my wall, a picture of me, Daniel, and our dog on the day we closed on the house, and hurled it to the floor. The glass shattered, shards skittering across the tile. I jumped up, heart hammering. Daniel stepped between us instantly, his voice low but dangerous. "Get out." But Emily didn't move. She was breathing hard, eyes glossy, almost unhinged. "You'll regret this, Sofia. You think you're teaching me a lesson? You're tearing this family apart. Don't come crying when Mom takes my side." And then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows shook. I stood there in the wreckage of broken glass, my pulse racing, and realized this wasn't going to die down. Emily wasn't just embarrassed. She was out for blood now. That night, Daniel swept up the shards while I sat on the couch in stunned silence. "She's unstable," he said quietly, "and if she escalates again, we need to protect ourselves." He was right, because within days, Emily dragged Mom into it. The text started flooding in, paragraphs about how I'd humiliated my sister, how I'd weaponized my home against the family. Mom even threatened to have a word with Daniel about isolating me. It was surreal. My own family was acting like I'd committed some crime by refusing to cook their meals. And Emily? She was spinning herself as the victim everywhere she went. But here's the thing. Once you push someone like me far enough, there's no going back. I was done playing defense. I started planning my next move. And this time I wasn't just going to embarrass Emily. I was going to show the whole family exactly how twisted their expectations had become. Update. Wow. I didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. Honestly, I thought maybe a handful of people would read it and tell me I was being dramatic. But seeing hundreds of strangers saying, "No, Sofia, you're not crazy. You've been used?" That hit me hard. Some of y'all cracked me up. Like the person who said, "Start charging admission like it's Chuck E. Cheese." Tempting. Another said I should accidentally flood the kitchen next holiday just so nobody can expect food. Not gonna lie, that one's been sitting in the back of my head. But the comment that really stuck was, "Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's exposure. Let people see the truth for themselves." And you know what? That's exactly where this is heading. Here's what's happened since my last post. After Emily smashed my wedding photo and stormed out, Mom went full campaign mode. She called me 3 times in one day, leaving voicemails like, "Family sacrifice isn't optional, Sofia," and "Don't let Daniel put walls between you and your sister." She even said, "You'll regret this when we're gone," which felt like a guilt trip ripped straight out of a soap opera. Emily hasn't cooled down either. She posted another Facebook rant about fake hostesses and ungrateful siblings, and of course tagged me again. The kicker? She added a photo of the shattered frame on my kitchen floor, claiming Daniel got physical. Yeah, she straight up lied to make him look abusive. That one nearly made me see red. Daniel wanted to call her out publicly, but I told him not yet. Because here's the thing. Emily's planning Mom's birthday party next month. And guess where she wants to hold it? You guessed it, my house. At first I thought it was a joke, but no. She texted me like it was already settled. "We'll need the backyard again. About 40 people this time. Don't worry, you don't have to cook." That's when I realized this was the perfect chance. Not to scream, not to smash things back, but to let Emily and Mom bury themselves with their own entitlement in front of the entire extended family. Daniel asked me last night if I was sure. I told him I'd never been more sure of anything. This isn't about food anymore. This is about respect. About finally making them see the difference between hosting and being treated like the unpaid help. So, buckle up, Reddit. Because Mom's birthday is in 2 weeks. And I'm about to pull something they will never forget. Mom's birthday rolled around faster than I expected. The week leading up, Emily spammed the family group text with guest counts, playlists, and cake designs like she was hosting. Except all of it ended with, "At Sofia's place, obviously." Daniel and I said nothing. We kept the house tidy, but we didn't prep food, buy decorations, or rearrange furniture. I even lit a candle on the kitchen island just to make it look extra bare. By 3 p.m., people started arriving. Cousins with wine bottles, aunts carrying gifts, little kids racing through the yard. Everyone came in expecting a party. And for the first half hour, Emily played hostess, floating around with a fake smile, thanking people for coming, as if the house was hers. Then it started unraveling. Someone asked where to put the food. Emily blinked. "Oh, Sofia has it." All eyes turned to me. I just smiled and sipped my iced tea. Nope, didn't make a thing. Emily said she was planning this one. The silence was delicious. One by one, questions started firing at her. "Where's the cake? Aren't there drinks? Did you rent chairs?" The kids were already tugging at their parents, whining about being hungry. Emily's face went red. She stammered something about me sabotaging her, but I calmly pulled up the text receipts on my phone, the ones where she said she'd handle it. I showed them to my aunt, loud enough for others to overhear. "See? She said she had it covered." The whispers spread like wildfire. Eyes shifted from me to her, and I swear, I've never seen Emily look so small. Then the final blow. Mom walked in, expecting to be swept into a decorated party. Instead, she froze at the sight of the empty room, the restless crowd, Emily fumbling with excuses. And before she could spin it, I stepped forward. "Happy birthday, Mom. I wanted to take this chance to clear something up." My voice was steady, carrying over the chatter. "This house? It's not the family banquet hall. Daniel and I bought it for us. And if anyone wants to celebrate here, it's going to be potluck style with everyone pitching in. No more dumping the work and cost on us. That ends today." The room went dead quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Emily tried to protest. "She's twisting it, Mom!" But it was too late. guests were shaking their heads, muttering about how irresponsible she was, some even gathering their things. One cousin outright said, "You dragged us here for nothing?" and walked out. Mom didn't defend her this time. She just sat down heavily, like the truth had finally sunk in. By the end of the night, half the guests had left. The party was a disaster, and Emily was in tears on the porch, wailing about how I'd ruined everything. But for once, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Daniel and I curled up on the couch after everyone left, our house quiet again. The broken photo frame had been replaced with a new one of just us, smiling in front of the house we worked for. That night, I realized revenge doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's just holding up a mirror and watching people choke on their own reflection. And my family, they'll never look at my house or me the same way again. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and like it. You can also watch more shocking stories in the playlist.